between sheets of typing paper. Just put that thing in there with the marking side down and close this bolt on. And it leaves me a little mark. But it's hitting not only on this outer edge, which most of that won't even be there when I get done. It's hitting right up underneath this, right in that lip. Well, can't see that, can you? Right in there is where it's hitting. It's the bottom edge of that rounded part. I'm going to take that out of there with a chisel because I can't get my... If I put this carbide bit in there next to that, I'm going to be touching the barrel, and I don't want to do that. So I'll have to cut that out by hand with a chisel. This may end up being a kind of an extended process. I'm pretty much going to do this about 500 million times. So I'm going to cut this tape, cut this recorder off while I do this for a while. It's one of these processes that you just keep on going until it doesn't touch anymore. This ball right here is touching the side. When this side is smaller, this side will be narrower when this thing's finished. It's just roughed out now. So I'm going to stop cutting this bolt handle groove out until I can remove. See that little mark right there? That's worth touching. That is one more. I don't think a howitzer would lock that tightly. Now I can start the outside shaping. Now in shaping the outside, of course this top surface is straight. I use a straight block, and when I'm starting with my measurements, I always start from this surface and go down and out, and everything starts from the top. But in shaping the contoured portions, see, I already took a chisel and just kind of got rid of the waste right there. But I'm going to take a little bit more care, and I'm going to shape that down and just meet where the metal meets the wood. Everywhere the metal touches, I'm going to make those two surfaces agree with each other. Now that'll eventually fall off like so, but right now I just bring it straight out. And I got to do the same on the bottom against that trigger guard. The front rail, I already milled it. So the milling, all I got to do is sand the mill marks off. I'm leaving this wood a teeny bit proud so I can sand that. And I'll get around to sanding it here just a little bit after I get the metal away from the wood. Then I'll be more aggressive. I'm being pretty careful with this now. I'm going to flare this thing up. Right at the end of that guard, I'm going to flare it up to meet this milled surface. Like I said, I'm leaving enough to sand that. This wood is still high of that. It's proud of it. And that's flared up about equally on both sides. It makes a little upsweep. Now I can put a straight block of a file and go from here to here and smooth that up, but I've got the general, the elevation of it. I got to take out just a little tiny bit up here on the front of this rail. It just doesn't quite fit in there. I mean, it's only a fuzz, maybe a blonde fuzz. There we go. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and mill pre-drill for these screws, these mounting screws, and stick them in just so I know that it's in the right place as I'm working on it. So this is blued steel, this is aluminum, and the screws are stainless. Okay, we have diversity. Because I don't want to go too deep on the other side, if I go too deep I run into the bottom of this barrel. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to mark this drill bit with a piece of tape. That serves as a depth gauge. If I don't drill any deeper than that, it should be good. That lets me know I'm correct, left and right. What I'm doing is cutting threads with the screw that's going to eventually go in there before I put that plastic plate down, because flathead screws are bad about jumping out. To do that with that plastic plate in place is to sacrifice 20 bucks, because if it jumps out, it's going to split that plate in half. So once I cut those threads, it'll be a lot better and easier for that screw to go in there. I also take just a little bit of paraffin wax, put on those threads. Once that screw goes in and out of there a time or two, it's kind of warm and it'll melt that paraffin wax. And then I push it in there, and that wax gets down in those threads and makes it a lot easier push in and out of there. Now, I haven't sanded this. All I have done is cut it off with a miter saw. And to be honest, my miter saw blade probably needs replacing. So I doubt if this thing is really slick and flat, but I'm going to stick this on there and I'm going to look underneath it. Now I'm going to look around this thing real carefully with this light, see if I see any gaps, and then I'm going to look underneath it See if any light shows through from the other side. Pretty tight.